Hi, this is Monica from Unique Designs by Monica, and I am back with the second tutorial. Yay! And I am going to just recapping what I did 6 years ago with Cricut. And today's project is going to be this little gem right here, this little cupcake. Now, mine is going to look slightly different from what it was six years ago. And of course, over time, we tend to improve. So I'm going to be doing the same project with silhouette, and we're going to compare differences. So we have this right here. Let me just take a quick snapshot of it. If it's going to come up. I'm sure it will while I'm doing the project. It's just like it's going to pop right up there. So I'm just going to wait for that to just do its thing. And this is the cupcake that I am doing today. Now, there are similarities to this. I mean, the colors are very similar. But as you can see, these have little circles rather than the jagged triangles. And you can check out the difference from the older video to what I'm doing here with the silhouette. So we're going to be starting with the rectangle polygon. So I'm going to go slow, as a lot of these words are going to be really hard for me to say. I'm going to use my select tool and bring this guy down. And I'm going to have it right here. Now, the cool thing about this particular shape is you see how it has a little 5 on here and a scale. So the more you move it, the more it changes. Now, if you go all the way to 60, it'll become a perfect circle. So if you're looking to make a perfect circle, this is another way you can do it. Otherwise, you can just select the ellipse tool and use shift. So I'm going to go back. As you can see, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to use the 5 right here. Select it and make a compound path. I'm going to grab my knife tool, and depending on how high or low I want this to be somewhere not beyond this point right here. So I'm just going to cut that. I'm going to change the color so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to use my little eyedrop tool right here, and I'm going to change it to the same color. Now I'm going to grab myself the ellipse tool. So I'm going to just hold down my shift, and it's going to be the same size on both sides. This side and this side is going to be the same size. I'm going to make this green also. Now this is a little too big, so I'm just going to shrink it down. Yeah, that seems about right. And I'm going to zoom in with my little hourglass here, and I am going to get it to the edge as possible. Now, instead of doing copy paste, because this is what's going to end up happening. You select it, you do copy paste, it's going to start going downward. You see that? That's not what we want. We want this to go on a straight line. So I'm going to select it, and we're going to go over here to open the replicating panel. And as you can see, it says left, right, up, down, and that'll do. It'll do exactly just one circle or whatever object to the left, to the right, and up and down. As you can see, if you click it, there's going to be 2 right here, because when it went up, it went exactly to the same spot. Now you could use the replicating tool and click, but here's a simpler way of doing it. You select it, and right here it says row and columns. So when you hit row and columns, it automatically starts doing 3 at a time. That's super close. So you see how it's all the way to the edge here? So let's just get a little closer. And we're just going to select all of these and make them slightly bigger to the end. Okay. Now there's a gap right here, and we're going to fix that. So what we're going to do is select everything and weld. Not bad, but you see the gaps right there? I'm not too keen on them because when the machine starts to go over it, you're going to get a lot of little floof or flakes, paper flakes. So I'm going to grab myself the rectangle tool. That's a little too high. Let me move this down just a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to go all the way to the end. A little more. There. That's where I want it. I'm going to select everything and weld. See, now I don't have to worry about those little things. It's gone. Ta-da! Now, as always, before we move on, just to make sure we don't make a mistake, cut and paste. It's good to keep this guy over here. And we're going to work on him. Now, we've already completed this guy, so we're going to move him to the side. Next, we're going to be working on this guy. You can probably see where I'm going to be going with this. So, let's get our little ellipse tool or circle tool, and we're just going to drag this all the way to the end. Let's get a little closer so we know what we're doing. And what we're going to do is going to scoot this guy down just a little bit. Okay. That looks pretty good. I see this guy's going a little further out. And I'm just going to double click, and you see how we have now little square dots on here? These are your points. And what you can do is you're going to grab it, and you can make this as high or as low as you want it. But you see how it's not following this? So what I'm going to do is just going to move it over. I'm going to do this to this side. Move it over. Good. Now we have the dome we want. I don't like the way how high it is, so I'm just going to bring it down just a smidge. That looks pretty good. And we're going to weld. Pretty good. Let's just change the color. Now, I can slightly see that this has a little bit of a bump. So let's get a little closer. Yeah, it has a bit of a curve. Now, it may not bother you, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I want to make sure that this is going to look good by the end of it. And as you can see, there's a bunch of tiny little dots here. In order to make them simple for you, just go to simplify, and it gets rid of a lot of those, and it smooths it out to where it needs to be. That looks a little better. Yep, that's perfect. Let's go over to the front. And let's make sure this goes exactly where it needs to be. We're going to go and go. Oh, grab the wrong one. Go to bottom and left. There we go. Now we have our cupcake base. Let's move it to the side. And now we're going to work on the frosting. There are two ways you can do this. You can use the ellipse tool, and you just drag a couple of circles and put them, make sure that they're right in the center and weld. Let's put a little bit of color on here. Now, this looks okay, but I want to make sure this looks like it's actually frosted on there. So what I'm going to do is pick on those little squares, and I'm going to bring it down just here and here. Look at that. It's to the front, yeah. And if I wanted to, I could bring this like that. Makes it look more like a frosting. And I'm noticing that this guy looks a little too sharp, so I'm going to just move it inward just a little bit. I don't like it, so I'm going to use the back button to get rid of it. There you go. It's done. That's the first way you could do your frosting. Move this over here. Now you have this line tool right here called the curve shape. If you have the time and the patience and you want to make sure that it looks like frosting, you can go ahead and start making the lines however you wish. You could even give it a little swirl at the very top. Let's see, a little swirl here, go over here. There we go. And then we have, let's color this the same color. You could spend a very long time trying to make this as frosting-y as possible, but I'm just gonna keep this pretty simple. There we go. There's our frosting. Let's make this a little higher up. Good, good, good. And now let's do our cherry. I'm gonna get rid of this. Bring this little guy just a little more further down. I'm gonna grab myself a circle. Now you can put this cherry anywhere you wish. Here, here, down here. It's really all up to you. I'm going to change it red. I'm going to copy and paste. And I'm going to keep this guy over here. And I'm going to make this stem right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that nice curvy shape tool. And I'm just going to make the stem however you want. If you find it that it's a little too bulky, just double click on it and bring it in just a little bit. If you don't like the way this looks, it gives you the option to turn it curve, straight, simplify, however you want it. But let's just keep it nice and curvy. There we go. That looks pretty good. So I'm selecting the stem and the cherry, and I'm going to weld. But I don't want the stem to be red, so I'm going to change it to a nice little brown. Bring this forward and make sure. There we go. So far, not a bad cupcake. I can see tons of birthday cards using this right here. Okay, next. Now we're done with our cherry. We're going to be doing our sprinkles. Now, you can either do rectangle sprinkles, or you can use this nice little rounded curved one, rounded rectangle. Let's get a little closer. And let's change the color so we can see it. There he is. Now, do you see how it's flat right here and curvy right here? These points right here allows you to manipulate the shape of your rectangle to make it look more like a pill. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna convert the path, and then I'm just gonna squish it down just a little bit and make it into a sprinkle. Now there's all types of sprinkles out in the world. It really all depends on what you want to do. But I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. And I'm just going to cut and paste and randomly move these sprinkles. You don't want these to overlap. I mean, you can if you wanted to. It's really all up to you. But I really don't like my sprinkles to touch one another. Okay. Let's put one right here. Okay, to make more sprinkles, just select every single one, just holding the control key, or the shift key, I'm sorry. Cut and paste, and let's change the color to a nice little orange. Okay, and I'm just gonna put these at random. I don't like these guys facing the same direction. Just tilt that a little bit. I'm gonna put that like that. Like this. Put this guy over here. Flip it a little. And that's it. Okay. Looks like I'm missing sprinkles over here, so I'm gonna move it. just a little bit. You can add as few or as many as you want. For me, this is pretty good. I'm going to select everything and group. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, there's a red line all over the place. Yes, yes there is. And as you can see for the ones over here, there isn't a red line. That is because you can change the color of your lines. Let me move this to where it needs to go. Get it really close. So now that this is grouped, you have the line style panel. What this does, it gives you the ability to thicken your lines, to do perforated edges, and to color. So I'm going to go from the red line to the black line. There you go. Now we have this. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what? I have a cupcake now. Great. What do I do with it? You can make a card, which I'm going to show you right now how to do. So I'm going to put this guy to the side. I'm going to use the one that we just did. Make this about, let's make this 4 by 5. That's the size. And if you're working with an 8.5 by 11 sheet, let me go over here to the page setup panel. And right here where it says media size, I'm going to put it to letter. And that's the letter size. But I want this to be landscape because it's going to be a card. So I'm going to copy. I'm going to move this guy to the side. And what I'm going to do is going to weld. You're like, oh, my hard work. No, see, you have it right there. I'm going to change this to white. And I'm going to grab myself a tiny little square. And you're probably thinking, what am I going to do with that? I'm going to show you here in just a second. Make that white. Set it aside. Now, again, you could use cut and paste, but I want to make sure that this is lined up properly. So I'm just going to select it, go over here to my replicating panel, and I'm just going to go to the left. You're like, oh, okay, I got 2. That's great. Now you can see, let me bring this guy down and get really close, that these guys are just barely touching. Now when you cut it, this is your weakest point right here. So you need to make sure it's nice and sturdy, and when the person opens it up, it just doesn't go into 2 pages or gives you 2 of your card. So that's why this rectangle is here. And I bring it to the front, just like this. And I'm going to make this a little smaller. And I want to make sure that these 2 are lined up properly. So I'm just going to select both of these. And, oh, wrong one. Okay, that's definitely in the middle. So let me just bring it down like that. Select and weld. I don't like the fact that it's sticking up like that, so I'm just going to go back a little more and bring it a little closer. There we go. And weld. And this is now sticking at the bottom, so it's all trial and error. You want to make sure it's how you want it. There we go. That looks more card-like. Okay, we're going to go over here to this line. We're going to make a straight line down. As you can see, it's red, so you can see where it's at. And all I'm going to do is just bring it down. Push this back so you can see it. Okay, as you can see, it's not in the middle yet again. So I'm going to select everything. Make sure it's in the middle. Okay, this is a little too big, so we're going to take it down. Take it down. Now it's right exactly where it needs to go. And we're going to perforate it, because if you don't perforate it, it's going to cut straight through. There we go. We just made its mark. We're going to group everything together, move this to the back, and you just made yourself a cupcake card. Simple, easy, and you did it with your own 2 hands. Now, if you want to transfer this onto your Cricut, make sure that you check out, let me see what if I say her name correctly, It is Silaholic Anonymous. I have a link below on how she converted her studio file into an SVG, and with that SVG, you can port it into your Cricut, and you can cut it and do whatever you need to do with it. But there you go. You just made your own, your own personal image, your own personal creation, and you have a lot more fluidity than you would have had with Cricut. If you have any questions below, please feel free to leave me a comment. Thank you very much and have a beautiful day.